How's everybody doing today? Great. I'm Mike Barber, and I'm with Truckers Wealth. We are a financial hub for the trucking industry, for the driver, for the trucker, and we help folks with, among other things, pretty much, we're a full-service financial brokerage, and we help truckers with retirement planning, financial planning. We help truckers with analyzing their finances, helping them maneuver that road, while you're accumulating money or working. We also help truckers in the trucking industry with life insurance, disability, accidental insurance. A little bit of kind of a one-stop shop. And I've been in the trucking or in the financial business for over 20 years, and the trucking industry has been one that we got into really because out of need. One thing I learned early in my career or whatnot was truckers need, well, everybody needs guidance, but truckers especially. You're talking about people that keep the country going, and not a lot of time to stop and think, right? So when it came to finances, a lot of the two didn't go together. And there was a lot of times the truckers didn't have a guy or a girl to go to. They didn't have really time to stop and ask. And that's one of the things that really laid heavy on my heart. My story really begins, and it goes back to around, I've been in, like I said, over 20 years, but my father worked a long time, and during his career, he worked till he was 75, and worked hard, and he had a 401k, okay? And he wanted to, and I don't know, can I walk away from this, Mike? Okay, standing here like crazy. I'm going to move around. But he worked all his life, just like a lot of us do. He had a 401k with a company that he was with. And it got to be, he worked hard. He got to be about around 65 or 60, 65. And I would say, Daddy, when are you going to retire? And he said, well, son, I want a little bit more money in my account. And he wasn't a hunter. I like to golf. He wasn't a hunter. He wasn't a fisherman. He didn't play golf. It was that generation. He just worked. That's what he did, right? And as he maneuvered his way, he would rely on the HR department, right, to tell him everything he needed to know about after working. So he would tell me, I'm going to get as much money in my account, son, and I'm going to, me and your mama, we want to go traveling a little bit. We didn't go anywhere. I'm from North Carolina. We went down to Myrtle Beach every now and then during the summer, and for vacation. And but he wanted to see the Grand Canyon. I always laugh about that because that was his goal, was take Mama to the Grand Canyon. And that was, I said, well, that's great. He said, so I'm just going to work a little bit longer, get a little bit more in my retirement. And I said, well, that's great. But I said, he was tired. He was, he worked till he was 75. And, how he did it, I don't know, but he was pretty much happy doing it, but he was tired. I noticed. And finally he said, son, I'm retiring. I said, wow, that's great. He didn't want me helping him with anything, He said, no, the lady at HR's got it. And, I guess his son, he didn't, I said, well, that's fine. But so he he retired in 2008. And 2 weeks after he retired, he lost 50% of everything he had. And it shook him. You know, it was hard to watch because, and especially our generation, sure, too, and my generation and younger generations, we all can relate to this, but certainly his generation, it was defined on what he accumulated, right? What he worked for. And that was something that it really shook him. He lost 50%. He went back to work driving for a bank, going around picking up checks and money, you know, from different locations. He did that part-time. And he was happy, and yes, I have 3 siblings, and of course we made sure that they went and saw the Grand Canyon. But he passed away at age 84, and I always, one thing that always bothered me was, did he get everything out of, was he happy? I always felt like he kind of messed things up. It kind of bugged him. But the good Lord took care of him, and my mother is 90 years old now. She's still alive. But I tell you that story simply because I see a lot of folks that, and it wasn't that he did anything wrong. He did everything right. He worked hard, right? He every day he paid his taxes, did everything he was supposed to do. And it's just things he really didn't know about, right? He didn't know that you lose your money and the stock market could crash and you lose everything you got. Just like that. And so that was something that really woke me up to want to help people in my brokerage, in my business. I wanted to help people. I didn't want that to happen again. I never wanted to see anybody else go through that again. There had to be a better way. I mean, that's what I told myself. And so the way I really did that is I started off more in the investment side of things, where you invest early in life, while you're accumulating, those years, and you invest in the stock market. You get with a company and invest, which is nothing wrong with that. I can help people with that every day. But as we get closer to retirement, the game changes. It's no longer, and why does the game change, right? It's because if you have downturn, of course, you look at the stock market now, people have 401ks, people have all types of accounts, whether you're an owner, operator, or independent, whether you're a company driver. It really doesn't matter, but the game changes in retirement because you have to replace, when you retire, you have to replace what? Your income. A lot of times people think, well, when I retire, I'll just, I'll do what I've been doing. I'll live on Social Security. Has anybody ever checked into what Social Security, it doesn't pay the bills. Normally, it can't allow you to work or to live the lifestyle that you're used to. You have to kind of you have to go backwards a little bit. And that's something that always bothered, me. I wanted to be a full service financial planner, financial person that could help people, whether they're starting off, in the middle of working years, at retirement, getting ready for retirement, all of those things. But I wanted to make sure that I directed them in a place where I didn't, tell them, hey, just ride it out with your stocks. It'll come back. Well, when you get to retirement or you get to a certain age, you can't do that, right? Because you can't, you don't have time to make it back up. So those are some of the things that I learned from that. So I wanted to go over with you a little bit. Obviously, when we talk about financial planning and retirement planning, They all kind of go together, but I wanted just to go over a little bit, not necessarily what we do at Truckers Wealth, although we are the only exclusive financial brokerage, full-service brokerage, exclusively for the trucking industry. And that's, I think, says a lot in that we know your business. We know what you do. We're part of that family. And I think that's one of the main things that and I always wanted to know other trucker. I didn't want any truckers or anybody, but I didn't want certainly anyone to go through what I'd seen other people go through with losing at the last minute, kind of losing everything they had. So let's talk a little bit about what I do. Well, there's me. Had a little more hair then, but that was a joke. You can laugh. I'm with Truckers Wealth. There's our QR code. If you want to, we have a website. It's kind of like the hub for what we do, and you can scan that. It'll go directly into your phone. If you get a chance, I'll leave that there for a little bit. And I'll also, if you want to talk to me afterwards, or we've got a booth, 38256. I've got my son and daughter with me today. I'm from North Carolina. We drove, kind of have a family spring break, but they're my helpers, and they're the, they've really helped out a lot so far. So, but 38256 is our booth, and love to meet you, love to talk to you, this weekend. Now, a lot of people think, well, what are my choices in retirement? What are we talking about, Mike? I don't know all these terms. I don't know what am I supposed to do. I know the lady at the bank said I could get a CD or IRA or a money market. What is that? What does that mean? And a little bit of what our choices are. One of the main things that I always tell people, and everybody's different. So I don't want to make this isn't one size fits all. We try to, analyze what each person needs, what your wants are, what your needs are, what you're trying to do as you get to retirement. But for the main part of it is you have two stages. And, while we're working, we're in the what? Accumulation stage, right? All those years we're working and we're accumulating money to what? Retire on, okay? Now, it doesn't always work out perfectly like that, right? Not everybody works for a company for 30 years or has a 401k. So there's a lot of, when you hear me talking about a 401k, I'm not assuming that everybody has a 401k. In fact, most people don't this day and time. Most people, especially truckers, are owner-operators. They may be, they work, they may not have a big benefit program. They may have some old accounts that are sitting somewhere. But the main thing I want you to understand is everybody, we try to help anybody, whatever stage you're at. There's a lot of times you need to rescue your retirement plan and get it back on track. That's fine too. But for the most part, the types of accounts that we talk about in the financial in retirement, they're really based on the tax part of it, right? You have tax now, you've got brokerage accounts, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, CDs, and savings accounts. Then you've got tax deferred accounts. That means tax deferred is obviously it's like a 401k. You're taxed on it. You're not taxed on it until you go to take it out. Then what happens? You have to pay up, basically, Uncle Sam. And that surprises a lot of people. That catches folks off guard. I didn't realize I thought I had this for retirement, but I don't. I've got, another amount. And sometimes that can make them have to work longer or get another job or whatever it may be. IRAs, SEPs, 403Bs, and annuities are tax deferred. Doesn't make them anything wrong with them. It's just they're tax deferred. Tax-free, when we talk about them, we do a lot of tax-free stuff. Certainly, that's been a very popular tax-free retirement, and tax-free accounts have been very popular, certainly here in the last 15 years. And a lot of that's because we're tired of Uncle Sam in our pocket, right? We get taxed enough. Truckers, truck drivers certainly does. Everybody does. But it's one thing that we're tired of being handcuffed a lot of times. And so that's why anytime we can get into something that's tax-free or tax-friendly, we're interested in it. Municipal bonds, cash value, life insurance, Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, 457s, Roth annuities. There really becomes when you see there's different accounts, we call it a tax-free wealth plan where you're just accumulating money at about 6%. Now, you're not going to see 12% but you're not going to see minus 12%. It's just a steady 6. That's a tax-free retirement plan. Now, that type of account is it's kind of like being on an escalator as opposed to being on a roller coaster. People like that. They want something steady that's just accumulating. They want something that they can get to when they need to, instead of having to wait till maybe age 51 and a half and before they get penalized or something for taking it out or taxed. That's one thing that people, that obviously they don't like. But a tax-free retirement account is one that does not do that. And it's your money at any time. Life happens. Emergencies happen, right? A lot of times we like knowing that our money is someplace that if we need to get to it, we can get to it. Tax-free wealth plan. And I talk about these a lot. Maximize your savings with tax-free wealth plans. It's really, as far as steady accumulation, there's really no better way to do it. They've become very popular, like I said now, and it's really based on how they're structured. They have to be structured correctly, and you have to be able to structure one, and we're able to structure it correctly, for you. Very popular plan. Tax-free wealth plans for truck drivers. Increases savings, enhances financial security, and simplifies planning. Pretty self-explanatory there. People are trying to increase, especially no matter what stage they are in their, people change jobs. People are 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever age, it doesn't really matter. A lot of times I always tell people will say, well, Mike, I should have done this 20 years ago, or I should have I wish I'd done this 20 years ago. I always tell people, yeah, that's probably the best time to do it, but at the end of the day, the second best time is now. So I always remind people that, especially in the financial or retirement planning part of it, especially for truckers. A lot of times they'll say, "Man, I don't have anything to contribute to it. I don't have anything. I don't have a big 401k. I don't know if you want to talk to me." That's not true. Everybody needs a safe vehicle to put their money, something that's not being taxed, something that they can accumulate wealth, whether they're using it for retirement or whatever they're using it for. So it serves both those purposes, like we talked about. Kind of simplifies things. Obviously, secure, anything guaranteed is secure. That's what people pretty much like the most, is the security. We talked a little bit about, in retirement, having your money in vehicles that if something happened, you would lose. Like, for instance, my father, he lost half of his retirement. He had it in accounts that he could lose it, and he didn't have time. Once he lost it, he didn't have time to make it back up. So obviously we call that sequence of returns. And what we mean by that is typically in 2008, it took, when you have a big downturn like that, and you hear this on the news all the time. It's not anything that, I don't have a crystal ball and I can't tell you that that's going to happen. But about every 13 to 14 years, historically, there has been a big downturn, right? And what that means is you have a market crash. It happened the last time it happened, 2008. Today's 2025. That's been 17 years, right? So we're kind of overdue, really. I mean, and we pray and we hope that doesn't happen. But it definitely is what gets people thinking. They think about it, or they saw their parents or they saw a family member that went through. And certainly as volatile as the market is now, you want to make sure that you have money parked in safe vehicles, right? And that's what, obviously we help you with that, but it's very important that you understand that when we talk about financial and retirement planning. It's as important of where the money is. I believe in, a diversified, portfolio and all of that kind of good stuff. But the main stream of income needs to be, and when I say safe, I don't mean a savings account at the bank where it's not making anything. I mean, but it needs to be guaranteed, and it needs to be where it can't be taxed, and it can't be has no market risk. Okay. And the sequence of returns, when we talk about that, this just goes over basically depending on the accumulation, depending on when there was a downturn, it really can affect the whole, retirement. And we won't get into all these numbers, but typically in a downturn, and in 2008, it was about 7 to 8 years before there was any kind of that it took to rebound. Folks that lost money to get back to even, and that's just to get back to level. You want your money to continue to go up. Now, guaranteed income retirement accounts, for truck drivers. Obviously, we talked about provides suitability, protects against market volatility, and supports financial independence. Those are three very important keys to a guaranteed income or a guaranteed wealth plan. We call it a trucker's guaranteed wealth plan at Truckers Wealth, but that's what it's there for. A little bit of like what I talked about before, protecting your savings, with no market risk, a type of account. The type of account means everything. And not having, I guess, watching out for who you, if you have someone that you do business with or have been doing business with, make sure they can help you with all of the different types of accounts. They're not pushing you in any certain direction that's all they offer. Does that make sense? In fact, you'll see investors, and nothing wrong with an investor. I can invest your money, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for that. But if it's, if you're just losing money and losing money and losing money, it's time to change. Math of rebounds. We just talked about that a little bit when we talked about, if you lose 3%, typically, on average, that takes about 3.5 years just to get back to square one as far as the rate of recovery. You can kind of get a little glance on that a little bit. Obviously, the more loss, the longer the time. I mean, you basically get that one. No market risk ensures safe growth. that is something that obviously when you have a fixed or a guaranteed rate, you're going to ensure yourself safe growth. It's just, I always compare it, like I said before, to an escalator and a roller coaster. Reduces stress. One of the big things I always talk about in retirement and financial financial planning or savings or retirement is you can have stress and rocking chairs, or you can have paychecks and playchecks. I like paychecks and playchecks. I like getting a check. I like having your money where you don't have to worry that you're going to, like my father did. He didn't really worry about it. He worried about it when it happened, but a lot of people are unaware of, that risk. So it reduces stress. Knowing your retirement, funds are protected can alleviate a lot of stress from our lives. And certainly for truck drivers, it's a instead of riding around worrying all the time, or they don't have that, and it makes for a better life, better, less stress, all of those things. Offers you flexibility. These type of accounts often come with flexible options, and that's what we help you with. But it basically offers you flexibility in your future, in accumulating wealth. We have like I was talking about the hub, truckers-wealth.com. You can go to the website. There's a contact form. You'll see tax-free retirement. If you'll click on that, there's a form that you can fill out. All we do, we'll contact you. What we like, everybody's different. Everybody's situations are different. What we like to do is meet you where you are. And we just do that with a phone call, a chat. If you have questions, we want to answer those questions for you. If you have concerns, we want to certainly address that. There's no dumb questions or anything like that. We're very pro in helping you, not to send you in the wrong direction. If we can't help you, we'll certainly try to send you in the right direction. Most of the time, we can add some light. If anything, it'll educate you. And I would tell you, if there's anything you hear from me today, would be, try to educate yourself as much as you can about whatever is bothering you or you need. Start asking those questions. And now it's not a bad time. And it doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter a lot of people they mess up over, during that period of time when we're working. We're thinking about that in that accumulation stage. We're going through life, and they think, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that down the road, and I'll take care of it. It's not one of those things you wake up in the morning and go, hey, I think I'll call the financial guy and we'll talk. No, nobody wants to do that. So we try to make it really easy. You submit the form, and somebody will reach out to you, and we'll set up a time, either myself, and kind of go over. Then if we want to move forward, it doesn't cost you anything. You can get a full financial analysis, and it's free. And this isn't I don't want that to sound like an infomercial, but while I'm here, I might as well let you know that. But that is value. That's value added for the truck driver, and that's what we try to bring to the table. But you fill out answer a few questions, send it in. You'll automatically get a text and an email, and you can set up a time, and we can go over. There's not a stupid question. There's no dire where you're not, that's past, I can't do that. Yes, you'd be amazed. Find out, Ask the question is what I always tell people. Don't be shy of going there. Don't be shy of asking those questions. Nobody is sitting back going, man, they don't even have this or that, or all that kind of stuff that you think you don't know or you don't have. the biggest mistake I see people make is just, how many times, procrastination. I'll admit to you, my wife will tell you, I'm one of the worst procrastinators in the world. I'll put off taking the dirty clothes from upstairs to downstairs, and she's told me about 3 or 4 times. I'll put it off. I'll put off mowing the grass, or you get it. One of those things that just ask the question, and you'll feel so much better when you do. But that's what Truckers Wealth is here to help you with. That's why I developed this hub for truckers. Truckers don't have a history of getting this stuff done, right? They just don't. They're not alone. We all don't like it, but certainly when do they have time? Where? We meet you where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in Kansas one day and New Jersey the next. This hub has been developed to where we can meet, we can talk. And you can either see me or we can talk by the phone, we can do a Zoom call. We kind of make it very easy, convenient, for the trucker, not only to do stuff or to find out, but just to ask questions, just to find out, hey, what should I do here? And that's just very important. That would be the biggest advice I would give you, anybody, is just don't be afraid of sending the text or sending the email or asking for advice. What I wanted to do too, now, if anybody has any questions, I can entertain those now. If there's anything that maybe I didn't hit on that it's really, all right, right here in the front. Good question. What she was asking about was this slide, and she wanted to know if all of these options, because this is pretty much your options, right? When we get money or we have them in an account, they're usually in one of these, and you can implement these through a bank. Sometimes you have to go to a bank. Sometimes you have to go to an investment broker. We do all of this, okay? So I want to be clear we can help you with all of it. So I don't have any skin in the game. I'm not trying to push you one way, where you really shouldn't be. That's probably the biggest fault that in the financial world this day and time is people get pushed. But my brother-in-law had some money. He said it was all right. Well, people getting advice from all over the place or being pushed into a place they don't really need to be. But these accounts, as far as guaranteed income, the only guaranteed income, the tax-free growth, the only guaranteed income would be that cash value. And it's really when it says life insurance does offer you cash value. What we're talking about is an account that uses the laws of insurance in this situation. It's called a tax-free retirement wealth plan. But it uses the laws of insurance, so that takes who out of the question? Uncle Sam. So, and it also takes the stock market out of the equation. Hint, it is structured. The key thing is how it's structured. A lot of people think, well, is it a life insurance policy, right? But it's not. It has long-term care involved and disability and all those things that you want, especially as we get older. But it includes, instead of the life insurance part of it, it's structured into a tax-free account that's accumulating at about, right now it's about 6.5%, okay? So it just accumulates. And it's just, like I said, it's an escalator and not a roller coaster. Does that answer your question? So guarantee, when we talk about guarantee, that is the only thing left. Death and taxes. I guess they're guaranteed, but no taxes with an account like that. Any other questions? Go ahead. Right. When you go to get it out, if it's in a Roth, you have that's where the tax-free, you won't be taxed on it. Okay? Are you talking about like a savings account at the bank? Yeah. Well, if you were, and it depends on what type of account that you have, but for the most part, it's very safe tax-wise, but it just doesn't have any growth, right? Doesn't grow. So you're not making six or you might be making 0.2%, but a savings account is, it doesn't have the risk and the tax ramifications like other accounts for sure. Does that answer? Is that what you're talking about? Does that answer your question? Well, in this, as far as in this slide, we're looking at what's going to ding you when you go to get it. For instance, in a 401k, that's tax deferred. So you're paying the taxes when you take it out, right? That's when, like, if you have $300,000 in a 401k and you retire and go to get that money to move it into something else, and you turn it, and not necessarily transfer it, but you cash out, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. In a Roth, you've already paid taxes on it. So that Roth's good, but the only thing with Roth accounts are there's limits to what you can put into it. And, you have, and so it's not a great vehicle for retirement planning, but it is good. It's fine to, I help people put money in Roths all the time, but it's a safer, more tax-friendly. Does that answer? Well, and when we talk about a savings account or a checking account, the fees you pay fees. It's not a guaranteed. It's if you were to put, as far as the tax ramification, it's not that big of a deal. You're right, but there's no growth. There's no advantage to. It just kind of stays there. Now, depending on where that savings came from, you were taxed on it when it was, before it went into the savings. And a lot of times, if it's from your, from what you make, yeah. I think a lot of times, the big thing with, for instance, a savings account is, a lot of times people do keep their money in their savings and in checking. I see a lot of truckers with big, in the trucking, not just in the trucking. Obviously we deal with the trucking industry, but it's synonymous, I'm sure, with any other place. But you see a lot of money that's just been sitting in accounts that it's just been sitting there, and it's they're either losing money on it or they're scared to do anything with it, right? It's kind of a security blanket. Well, I got this in that savings account. I'm good. I don't want to mess it up, kind of thing. Usually, it's good to have money if you need to get to it quickly. You need to have liquidity. Savings accounts are fine. We need a little bit in savings. Just if it's money that you might need to get to quickly. Although there's other accounts that you can get to quickly too that are growing for you. That's the key, I think, is the growth part of it. Is that? And we can chat a little bit afterwards if you have another. Anybody else? Any other questions? Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, good question. And what I assume, did everybody hear that? No, pretty much heard what she said. And basically, when we're talking about a 1099, you've got owner operator, independent. You've got you're paying enough. Obviously, you get your income, but you pay a lot in taxes. Certainly at the end of the year, and But as far as what we would do in an account like that is just you contribute whatever amount you're comfortable with. Normally, you almost, in other words, what you're trying to do is with a guaranteed, with a tax-free, retirement account, is what you're trying to do is just build your own pension. Remember the days of pensions? They don't have pensions anymore. It's just money that you accumulated, you contributed to, and it just accumulated. Then when you retired, it paid you an income, sent you a check. Typically, what you're trying to do is build your own pension, and you're contributing money to an account that is accumulating based on what you want to. Just like if you were working for a company and you had money coming out of your check each month to your 401k, same difference. As a 1099, you're making your own 401k, so to speak. It's just better. It's guaranteed. You don't have the market risk, and you don't have the taxes. Very popular with folks now, especially 1099. If you think about all the people that are working, are working as independent contractors, especially just since COVID, for instance. It is unbelievable. Most people now, you're not in the. You're in the minority if you have a 401k. It seems like anymore. Everybody's having to deal with that. How do I save for it? So a lot of times we're talking about savings accounts, and that money is placed in all sorts of places. And the main thing I'm trying to tell you is see where that is. You don't want it in any place where there's a lot of risk, and you don't want to pay a lot of taxes on it. So in your situation with a 1099, putting whatever amount that you're comfortable with, and I don't mean really any amount that you're comfortable with, but about like what would go into out of your paycheck for a 401k, $150, $100, whatever, a month, you would contribute that to the account each month, okay? And it just would be accumulating at about 6% interest. Now it's not going up and down like, the 401k, it's going like that. Also, you don't have to be 59 and a half if you need to get some out, it's your money. A lot of people you've heard of use those types of accounts for being their own banker. You ever heard that? You see a generation now that is doing more and more of that, where they just put money into a tax-free account that's accumulating, and if they take money out of it, they pay themselves back. Instead of paying the bank 9%, they pay themselves back 20%, if they make a big purchase, for instance. But they use that's the account that they use. That's kind of their nest egg. That's the one that you want to have so that you can put money into it and it'll just grow. But knowing that you can get to it if you have to get to it is a big deal. If anybody's ever had to borrow from their 401k, or if they've been, dinged with charges, penalties, or taxes, that can be a pain. And it's certainly a better way to do things. Did that answer? Okay, I'll get with you when we're finished. Right. That's not taxable. That's where you're saving a little bit on your taxes, done the right way. I assume. Do you have a Roth? Is that what you're? Yeah. The only and I think like I said, Roths serve a purpose. It really depends on what you want to use it for. But I would be I would really take a look at, there are limitations, right? Tax deferred is good, very safe, all those things. But, when we're talking about wanting to accumulate retirement type wealth, or more money, you want to be able to put in or take out more than $10,000 a year, and a lot of times that's where you're, and I help people with Roth. Roths are great accounts. I'm not trying to push in one way or the other. It just depends on what you're using it for. That's where a financial analysis really helps. Kind of, here's your choices. What do you want? Normally, that's what happens. I let people, they choose, instead of me saying, well, I'll advise you to do this, that, or the other, and people just going, okay, I'll do what you say. I want them to show them. I want them to say, no, you're right. Yeah, that's what I want, instead of this, and for what reason, right? So, but Truckers Wealth, since COVID, it really kind of was initiated, and I've always helped, truckers. That's always been a market that I have helped. You've probably heard me on XM Road Dog Radio. Dave Nemo, I was on his show this morning. And the reason I say that is we're not mechanics wealth, we're not teachers wealth, we're truckers wealth. We're for the trucker. But during COVID, having a hub, one of the big things I saw was, and I helped so many truckers over the years, drivers, and that was just one of the things that I've always worked in. But having a hub is when I built that, was right after COVID, simply because everything can't, I don't have to go into that, what happened then, but being able to do it on driver's terms. They're on the road. They just can't go down to their local, brokerage firm and do business all the time. They needed something that, they could get to easily, get answers to things, and go from there. So that, out of the 21 years, the hub is, the Truckers Wealth has only been going about, 5 years. But it's been hopefully, a game changer. I think we've helped a lot of folks. Anybody else? Any comments? Any concerns? Hey, you didn't cover this, and man, what about that kind of thing? Oh, there you go. Right. You're exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. There's no, and like he was saying, was what, like I was saying, and you guys know this, there's not an exact science to any of what I'm telling you, or when we talk about retirement planning or financial planning, things can change, we all know that, but it is, that's when we talk about advice, or when we talk about one of the main culprits is taxes and, and market risk. Those are two of the bigger crushers of wealth. Retirements, anything, income, those things, take away from us more than anything else. The third one would be health, long-term care as we get older. It'll eliminate all of your income, all of the savings, all of that thing. That's another thing that, guaranteed wealth plans, help you with, because it is using the laws of insurance. Just that particular one. But like you said, where you're at in life, everybody's different, and it's putting the puzzles as the best you can together. And I think we do that because we know the industry. We do that better. Well, we're the only person that helps, truckers, with that. So I think that's the main thing, is helping you put the puzzle. I'm of the age that I remember when you had a road map. You used to have to get out a road map and, map out every where you were going. Actually unfold a map and in yellow a highlighter. I got to go down. I got to go to I-22 and then I got to cut across the 64 and blah blah blah, and follow that map. And obviously that's silly. My kids look at me like I'm crazy, but having a road map, that would be the other advice. Having somewhat of a road map to where you want to get to, what you want to do, and part of that is being, we don't, on a road map we don't want to drive through a storm on a dark night and on an icy road. We don't want the risk, right? We want to keep that at a minimum. We know sometimes we may have to go through a little bit of that, but at certain stages we want to know that, okay, I don't want to go, that's not a good idea. We want to know that, so part of our mapping our time out, we're going to know the time, the date, like you said. A lot of it depends on where we're at, what we need, and that's where you're able to dictate that. And we're able to, having someone that can meet you with any product, meet you halfway and figure all that stuff out, help you anyway. Good question. Anybody else? Well, guys, I really appreciate your time. If I can, if you want to grab me after we leave, I'd love to talk to you. If you get a chance, please come by our booth, or if you'd like to just fill out the form on the hub on the website. I'll reach out if you have another question that maybe I didn't get to, or anything I can help you with. Definitely here to help you, and good luck to you. God bless. Thank you.